What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the JERRY1 Podcast. This is episode number 34 of the JERRY1 Podcast. You're watching this, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching this on Wednesday, September 22nd, 2021. This recording is coming at you on Tuesday, September 21st, 2021. Yes, I'm your host, Nick Felice, two-time JERRY1 champion. This is episode 34 of the JERRY1 Podcast. What are you going to learn in fantasy sports today? Well, week 2 of the fantasy football season is in the books. And over on fantasy baseball side of things, it is our final week of the entire season this week as the finals and the third place game come to a close. And with Fletch out in front right now, Fletch was, I think, down 1 point. He was down 1 point. Stack corrections and everything, it gets a little funky sometimes, when Matt and Fletch is close as like that is in their semifinal matchup that Fletch ended up pulling out. But, Fletch is taking the lead for good. He's up 19, not for good. The lead, not for good. It is just getting started over in fantasy baseball. But Fletch takes a 19-point lead over Larry coming into this Tuesday. So we'll see if, Fletch, because you got to remember, Fletch and Larry, both looking for their first JERRY1 Fantasy Sports Championships. They're both right there to take it. It's going to be good. Fletch versus Larry, final week of the fantasy baseball season. Who will win the fantasy baseball finals? Meanwhile, over in the fantasy baseball third place game, Matt's got a slight lead over me. It's been a great last month of fantasy baseball with the four of us. Larry, Fletch, Matt, myself. It's been very tight. It's coming down to the final couple days, and it's going to come down to this weekend. So we're going to talk about fantasy baseball at the end of the show with Fletch and Larry and their big first ever finals against each other. First ever finals for either one of them in JERRY1 Fantasy Sports. So, and this is the 22nd finals in JERRY1 Fantasy Sports history. But it's a football-driven podcast once again this week. Week 2 is in the book, like I said. Week 3 is it will be here quicker than you know it. Today's waiver day as we're recording this. So I've been wanting to get this guy on the pod since the very beginning of the season, and we finally found a date, and this week is the date. Your 2020 JERRY1 Fantasy Football Champion, the defending champ, Jaren Johnson, is back on the podcast today. I'm going to talk to him, going to get his thoughts. With Paul leaving, he's taking that spot of Paul's, it seems like. Him and Matt, once again, at the top of the league. We're going to get Jaren's thoughts on his teams as he beat me in week 2 in a battle of 1-0 teams. And that was a rematch of the finals last year. I did predict Jaren would beat me in the finals again this year. So, it's tough to take in, but he's got a good team. We're going to get his thoughts on his team. So that's episode 34. Hope it's going to be a good one. I know it will be. It always is. Fantasy football, week 2, week 3, fantasy baseball finals wrapping up this weekend. Fletch or Larry, who's going to win it? That's episode 34. We're just getting started. Here we go. Jaren's going to come on in a second, but first, let's get you ready for this conversation as we talk a little fantasy football before we talk to Jaren, your defending champion. So, fantasy football week 2 is in the books. I think week 2 of this 2021 season will be remembered as the week of the newbies. The newbies showed up. They all won in week 2. As they've all now won once in the first 2 weeks with that win, obviously. Kurt, I think, 2-0. I think definitely one of the big headlines of the newbies, definitely because he's played so well scoring-wise. He gets that big win over Justin, his rival, Justin Hill, I should say, in week 2. Big rivalry. Kurt gets the win on the first time they ever met on the football side of things. So Kurt's right there, 2-0. Biggest game of his life, I think, here in the early going in fantasy football. In week 3, as he takes on Matt, who has just dominated so far in the early going. The battle of 2-0s, I think, definitely the top game to look out for in week 3. Kurt, obviously, Kyler Murray, absolute stud. I think he just that alone puts him in the conversation. As one of the better teams in this league. And then, of course, Matt with, Patrick Mahomes, Christian McCaffrey. Just to get those on his team, those players on his team is pretty special. But Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, the D-Hop, Kyler Murray combo for Kurt is definitely going to put him in the conversation. But Kurt knows how to beat a Justin. He's beaten Justin Kiefer and he beat Justin Hetwa. Playing Matt is a totally different ball game. So we'll see what Kurt does there. But Sam Shields, the number 1 scorer in week 2. Sam, 138 points before stat corrections. Top scoring, top in the league. Played a little below average in that first week. The first week against Fletch, against Jeremy here, a Jeremy team that is struggling on the running back side of things with Jonathan Taylor and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I know because I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire in my Cougar College fantasy football league. And it's absolutely annoying to have him on my team right now. So I know what Jeremy's going through. Jeremy's in last place after 2 weeks. A lot different because I remember early on in last season, he had that 170-point week against me, dominated. So Jeremy's off to a difficult start. But we look on the side of Sam, you got to always never sleep on Sam. Sam has done it in baseball. He's done it in basketball. He's won it. Might be a little bit of an early rumor, but I think it's already official. Sam will be in fantasy hockey, so he will be in all 4 JERRY1 leagues. So he's going to try to go for the Grand Slam. Paul was so close to doing that in baseball. That's the only one baseball doesn't have as a championship in. Sam's trying to do it in football, maybe hockey, in this little short next year, Sam definitely showed up, finally joined the league, I would say, with his first career win over Jeremy in week 2. It was a nice win. Sam played well, obviously, first in scoring. Sam's right in the playoffs, right, as we speak right now. He's going to be a threat. Plays me this week, who just lost to Jaren. Derrick Henry, top scoring guy this week, but just not enough. My bottom 3 guys there. My flex, my defense, my kicker, combined for 0 points. So that hurt my chances to beat Jaren in the rematch of the finals. So, you're looking at this top of the league. You got to go Matt, Jaren. Obviously, just some past history of this league. Kurt, newbie, can't really put him up there yet, but a win over Matt in the week 3 definitely could put him up in the conversation there. And then you got Sam. Then you got Fletch. Fletch, I'm going to say this in the article, and I'm going to say this on the podcast. Fletch is really focused on fantasy baseball, I guess, that he forgot to take Josh Jacobs out of his lineup. So, I guess he really is focused on baseball, not even putting his focus on football. I think it's just an honest mistake. He just forgot to set his lineup, but it just seems that way. So that hurts Fletcher's chances of beating Justin Kiefer in week 1. As Justin Kiefer also picks up his first career win like Sam and gets the big win over Fletch. Not how Justin Kiefer wanted to win, but a win's a win. And he played well. Justin Kiefer played well in week 2. No doubt about that. Definitely better than week 1. You could always do better than scoring under 100 points in week 1 like he did against Kurt. But Justin Kiefer, interesting team. Got to let the year play out to really take, either one of these teams, Justin Kiefer or Fletch, that's serious because, Fletch hasn't been in the playoffs since his first year in 2017. So you can't really take either one of these teams that serious right now. Same, it goes for Sam and Kurt as well. Obviously, they've done well. Kurt, top 3 in scoring both weeks, 2-0. Sam, top in scoring week 2. So you take Kurt and Sam a little bit more serious than you do Justin Kiefer and Fletch. Just how things have gone here in week 2. But how about Josh Langley? Let's give Josh Langley a little bit of a shot out here. He didn't play as good as he thought he would in week 2, but he gets the win over Andrew. Andrew struggled in week 2. Him and Jeremy did not score 100 points. But Josh gets his first win of the season. Josh also is trying to get back to the playoffs for the first time since 2017. But he won it in 2017. Fletch went 0-2 in that postseason. But Pat, once again, just can't beat Matt. It's tough to beat Matt on a week-to-week basis. But Pat, he played well enough to maybe win, just not enough against Matt, as Pat continues his stretch of original 6 opponents, as he will now play Andrew this week. And Pat could really put Andrew in a hole. You could talk about, Andrew didn't have a lot of luck in week 1, didn't play well in week 2, but Pat can really sink Andrew into an 0-3 hole. This is an Andrew team that was the only over 500 team in 2020. It was the number 1 seed, obviously, and won the regular season points championship. Now, Pat can put him in an 0-3 hole, so that would be something. Pat could do that in week 3. Moving on, Justin Hilwa lost to Kurt, as I said in the rivalry game. Justin's 0-2, Jeremy's 0-2, and Andrew's 0-2. You don't want to go 0-3. I know it's a 14-week regular season now, but you don't want to go 0-3. 0-2 is doable. It's early. You can get out of it. 0-3, I know what Paul did was amazing, but that's Paul. 0-5 last year and made the playoffs in a 12-week regular season and a 4-man playoffs. That was unbelievable what Paul did last year. That's not going to happen every year. You can't bank on that happening in an 0-5 start. Nobody wants to go 0-5. Nobody wants to go 0-3. Got 3 teams here this week trying to not go 0-3. It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. Once again, you got 3 teams at 2-0, 6 teams 1-1, and 3 teams 0-3 or 0-2. You see that kind of every year. That after 2 weeks, that's kind of how the standings work. Line up, and then as this weeks go on, they will some teams will fade, some teams will rise, some teams will stay in the middle. Who's going to be that team in the middle? Though you get that 6th seed, get in the playoffs. You got a shot, especially with 1-week playoff format this year. You got a shot. Obviously, player-wise, I said Derrick Henry, 47 points. Jaren Johnson, 40 points for Sam on Monday Night Football against the poor Lions. My Lions, I guess. I like the Lions. I'm a Giants guy, but I like the Lions. And then, of course, Cooper Kupp for Kurt. You talk about Kyler Murray. You talk about DeAndre Hopkins. But Cooper Kupp for Kurt's team, 37 points. Matthew Stafford loves him. He might love him more than Derek Carr loves Darren Waller. That's how big of a factor Cooper Kupp could be this year. Cooper Kupp could be the top receiver in the game this year. That's how big this is. But I say 3 things to look out for in week 3. That Andrew Pat game. If Andrew can avoid 0-3, that would be something. If Pat could sink Andrew 0-3. Obviously, the 2-0s going at each other. We'll see if Kurt's ready for an early test against Matt. It's going to be tough. And then I'm looking at, 2017 rematch of the finals. Jaren did get his championship last year. We're going to talk to Jaren in just a second. But Jaren Josh, once again, back at it in week 3. They were the 2017 finals where Josh beat Jaren because of Travis Kelce getting traded from Jaren's team. Probably one of the most famous trades in this league. It will always go down one of the most famous trades in this league. Jaren gets a backup running back on Josh's team, and Devontae Freeman from Travis Kelce in 2017. And Josh beats Jaren in the finals. But Jaren did get that 2020 championship. That's it for week 2, previewing week 3 of fantasy football. It's time for this conversation with Jaren. It's going to be a good one. We're going to talk about Jaren's hot start. We're going to talk, we've already talked to him earlier in the year about him winning the championship, but let's get his early thoughts about him being a defending champ. He's off to his best start. He is hard to believe. He's 2-0 for the first time since that 2014 regular season championship, Jaren, first year in this league. So we're going to talk to Jaren. It's going to be good. Here is that conversation with Jaren. Enjoy. Today's guest is back on the podcast. Last time he was on was episode number 14. Now it's episode number 34. 20 podcasts later, the 2020 JERRY1 Fantasy Football Champion has returned to the podcast for the third time. Jaren Johnson. Jaren, how you doing?
What's up, man? Glad to be back.
Yeah, good to have you on. Before we even get into anything, 2 weeks in, 2-0, wins over Andrew when you didn't think you would win in week 1 against Andrew after a great Thursday night by Andrew. Then you beat me in the rematch of the finals in week 2, 2-0. How does it feel first 2 weeks to have that championship list monkey off your back?
I think it's good. I mean, it's awesome. I have bragging rights now. Still a couple of people in the league who don't have a championship yet. So it's always nice to finally get on the board and get over the hump because, I mean, what it was like so many years I just lose in the first round or make it to the finals and not make over the hump. But this year or that year we made it. So I'm happy.
Yeah. Thanks for reminding me that I don't have a championship. But with 3 new owners in the league this year, that makes half the league once again, championship lists. So only 6 of the 12 people have a championship right now. That's you. But your week 2 win over me, I don't know if you knew this, that was your 50th career win in fantasy football in this league. Your 50th career win was that win against me in week 2. And this is the first time you have been 2-0 to start a season since 2014, your first season in this league.
And we were going off.
That season, you went 9-3 regular season championship. But like you said, an early exit in the playoffs that year. I believe it was Paul's team. Yeah. And but 2-0. Yeah, just get your thoughts, going from that Andrew matchup where you had to come back after a great Thursday by Andrew, and then to win the next week and go against Derrick Henry and hang on there. Talk about that.
I mean, back-to-back weeks I had to play the highest scoring individual player for each week. So Amari Cooper, I think 38 week 1, and then King Derrick 47, right?
Yep, 47.
Yeah, this week. So I had to overcome both of those. But I mean, I think that speaks a lot to my team. I think shows that we're pretty good. We got a lot of talent. I like my wide receivers, I like my running back. Kind of not too thrilled with my RB2 right now with Tyson McNuggets.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like Matty Stafford's balling, but yeah, I mean, I thought that first week, when Amari Cooper and Dak Prescott were just living, I thought it was over. I was like, there's no way. I remember telling you, I was like, there's no way I'm coming back. This is over. And we made the comeback.
2 wins against me and Andrew, who were the top 2 seeds last year. So that's 2 impressive wins. But you said this before the podcast, or I'd say outside a couple days ago. You said your team is an RB2 away from being the best team in this league. Do you still believe that?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. Especially if Matty Stafford keeps playing like he's playing, MVP level. I mean, like I said, if I said that the RB2, I think I feel more confident if Gus Bus didn't get hurt, didn't tear that ACL, and now we got to rely on Tyson McNuggets. But I don't know. I think my team's pretty good. I mean, I love DK, big Keenan Allen fan. Everybody knows that in the league. Draft him every year. Super high on Kyle Pitts, and then Deebo Samuel, the surprise of the draft so far for me. I love Deebo the manual.
You could argue Deebo's the surprise of the league after 2 weeks.
Yeah, him. I'd say him or Cooper Kupp. I mean, those 2 wide receiver wise. But yeah, man, Deebo's a beast, and I think with the whole Ayuk situation for San Francisco, he's just gonna keep feeding. And then once Trey Lance comes in, I feel like he'll be like that security blanket because I think Trey Lance eventually will get in there because Jimmy G's kind of no good. Mm-hmm. But and then defensive wise, I mean, the Patriots this week got a free pass with Zach Wilson just throwing an interception after interception. And then, I think my bench is kind of weak, but overall as the starters for team, I think we got some contenders. Delvin Cook, completely forgot about him. That's my
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I mean, that happens when we go to a 12-man league this year. The bench does get a little weaker since we didn't do anything with it. It's still, I believe, 6 bench players or something like that. But yeah. See, you're talking about Debo and how good he's been, and he's only your flex player because you drafted Cook first overall or second overall, first round. Matt took McCaffrey first, and you
Hmm.
took Cook second, and I took Henry third, and Kurt, who's also 2-0, took Kamara fourth. So top of the early picks right now in the draft are the teams that have come on strong here in the early going. And then you took DK Metcalf, Keenan Allen, next 2 picks in your draft. They've done all right. They've done good. And then
Don't
Gus
talk about
Edwards.
my boy Keenan like that.
And then you took Gus Edwards 4th round. We know how his season ended. But first, let's just talk about Dalvin Cook. What are your expectations out of Dalvin this year?
Hopefully the same production he had last year, because he was a beast last year. Oh my God. But I mean, I don't know. Hopefully he stays healthy. I mean, already this past week he rolled his ankle, got hit in the head, and he was already kind of panic alarm was setting when I saw him laying on the ground. But I feel like every time I think this is the first time I've had him in this league. But I mean, every other league that I've had him in, he always seems to be the year where he gets hurt.
Yeah.
And so hopefully we can reverse that curse and he stays healthy and, I don't know, win another championship.
Can't forget. I mean, let's talk about Allen. You can't forget Allen. You had him last year.
That's my boy.
You trade him. Obviously, it didn't affect you winning the championship because you ended up winning it. But you trade him to Pat. Pat needed a receiver. He gave you, I think, pretty 2 good running backs. It was Allen. You gave up Allen, Leonard Fournette, who was really nothing. And you got Jonathan Taylor, who was a first-round pick this year, and Myles Gaskin, who really helped your running back core for your push towards the championship. Will you be keeping Allen this year?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It
I know
depends.
you
If
like
he's
to
got another good
trade.
offer. I love to trade. I'm already looking at trades now. I already offered one. I offered Josh. I think I offered him Debo after week 1. I offered him Debo, and I think Singletary for Najee Harris and Cole Beasley, but he shot that down. So good part on him.
He already rejected it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I probably would have took that given how Debo's doing, but Najee's a rookie, so he'll probably come around. But yeah, I mean, what Keenan Allen, that's my guy. He tells me every year, he said, "Hey, if you need to trade me, go ahead. I don't mind. Just keep drafting me." But but Keenan's my boy. I don't know. He's tough. But I don't know this year the way the Chargers are throwing the ball. I feel like they're throwing a lot more. So I think he's going to be a guy that sticks around. But you never know. If the right offer comes around, then we'll move on from Keenan. But it's all with love though, because that's my boy.
What about DK? What are your thoughts on him?
I don't know. He looked good week 1. I mean, for an average game, I think he scored. Then this past week, he kind of looked
Yeah,
like
he's only
crap.
averaging 13.5, which is all right. It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not anything crazy, but this past week, I think he looked kind of terrible because I was expecting him to have, the Titans, who are like the worst defense, arguably, in the NFL, secondary wise. I thought Russ would be throwing like 5 touchdowns and everyone would be running around free. But DK really didn't do much, and that's kind of alarming. I saw he got hurt in the middle of the game. I don't think it affected him or anything, but I don't know. I never wanted to see that. So I think DK's got a high ceiling, but there's also times where he can be like that mid, like wide receiver too. That's, he's not going to give you a goose egg, but sometimes he'll just not produce as much as you'd like him to.
It's tough when he's got Tyler Lockett on his team as well, who's also done pretty well this season so far.
Yeah.
One guy you were concerned a little bit on Sunday was Dalvin Cook going down. Give me your emotions at that moment when you saw that.
Panicked. Like I said, I panicked. I was freaking out. I was sending it to one of my other buddies in another league I'm in, has Delvin too. So I texted him. I was like, sound the alarm. We got Delvin Cooks on the ground. I was like, I can't have this, man. But yeah, Delvin's down. That was scary. But hopefully, I don't know. I was reading now he's doing all right. So as long as my man stays off the ground, we're good.
Yep, it's still early. And I think last year think it was about like week 2 last year. We lost Barkley, McCaffrey. They both went down early in the season. So you never know with these top names. But Kyle Pitts, you got him at 50th overall, 9.5 points a game, rookie tight end. Were you planning on drafting him when your draft started?
Oh yeah, he was on
Really
my
high
radar.
on him.
Oh, I love that kid. I wanted the Giants to take him in the regular draft. Obviously, he didn't last, but I think that kid's a superstar. He got old fart Matt Ryan throwing him balls now. Matt Ryan looks like he needs to hang up the cleats. Also, to be fair, Matt Ryan doesn't have much protection, but I think Kyle Pitts has like a wide receiver ceiling. I don't know, once he starts getting on a roll, getting a little more into the playbook, realizing he's a beast, and I think he can make some plays. But hopefully Matt Ryan can stay up on his feet because that offensive line is yikes. I thought the Giants were bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just look at your team from top to bottom. It's very good right now. I mean, none of your guys scored 20 points against me in week 2, but they all got 10 at least, and that's
Hey,
a good looking week.
we call that good drafting. I know some people have said that I'm not the best drafter. We're out
Yeah.
here. Hey, we got some good drafting.
Yeah, you've heard that for the last 8 years now about your
I
draft.
know, but now I got a ring. I don't have it yet. It's getting done, but now we can get that narrative out of there.
Yeah, someday we're gonna have rings, banners, we're gonna have it all. But would you want J Rob, your boy James Robinson? Would you want him as your RB2 right now?
Not right now. Not right now. I love my guy, but that's my boy. Shout out Kurt Ireland last year said he would not be a good running back. He would fall off by week 2. My boy J Rob just kept pushing and said, you know what? This guy, Kurt Ireland, he don't know what he's talking about. I'm going to keep scoring 20 a game. This is balling.
I like that transition because my next thing I was going to ask you was about Kurt Ireland and Matt Felice. You three are the only 2-0 teams. Obviously, you got your game against Josh this week, but Matt and Kurt play each other this week against 2-0s. I might know the answer to this question already, but who are you more concerned about, Kurt or Matt?
Oh, that's a pretty easy question to answer. No disrespect to the one side. He's a newbie though. He's a rookie.
Yep.
Obviously, Matt's the bigger threat. Matt's a vet. He knows what he's doing. He always drafts good. Always seems to get Patrick Mahomes. That's like his go-to every year. Somehow he makes out with him. So, but I mean, Kurt's got a good team. No disrespect to Kurt. He's got a decent team. Running back 2 is a little like in my kind of. He's in the same boat as me. As running back 2 is kind of. Damian Harris can be up or down. I mean, I'm high on Damian Harris, but he can be up or down. But Kyler, man, that guy can play. And then he
You
had the
mentioned
stack with
Cooper,
Hopkins.
and you mentioned Cooper Cup's on Kurt's team as well.
Oh yeah, like I think Cooper Kupp could be a league winner the way he's playing now, and the value is crazy. He looks like a top tier wide receiver, and he got him probably no earlier than the 4th round, probably, right?
I'm on his team right now. Cooper Kupp was drafted 45th.
Oh yeah, so I mean that's good value. That's crazy for how he's playing, obviously.
Yeah. They say Matt's the bigger threat of those 2-0 teams. Is he the biggest threat in this entire league?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, when you have Patrick Mahomes and Christian McCaffrey, you're guaranteed at least 40 points a week. I mean,
Yeah.
and then his wide receivers, what are Godwin and AJ Brown? I know AJ Brown's had a little bit of a slow start. I don't think his hands have gotten to season 2 or this season yet, 2021. I think they're still back in 2020. But Chris
Hawkinson's
Godwin's
been a nice
playing good.
surprise. Hawkinson.
Yeah, Hawkinson's been good. I'm surprised he's as good as he was because I thought Jared Goff would be yikes, but Hawkinson's got really, really good hands. He's a good player. And then who's his flex? Darrell Henderson.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, I don't think Darrell Henderson's any good, to be honest. I think I was high on Cam Akers for that running back before he tore his Achilles in camp. But I feel like you could throw anyone back there in that Rams. They just always somehow seem to run the ball pretty good. I honestly think Sony Michel, I think, will eventually take that backfield because I think he's talented, more talented than Darrell Henderson.
He's actually Henderson's questionable right now. He's actually put Mike Williams has also been pretty good, pretty damn good too. He put him in the flex right now.
Mike Williams, oh my God, that guy's been a bust so far, and he's had 2 games that he looks like he's the pick that he was made to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we know about Paul. Paul is no longer in this league. And there's always, I'll say it, for the first 10 years and the only 10 years of this league so far, it has been Matt or Paul who have owned this league. But now that Paul is gone, there has to be that number 2 in this league. Does it feel like, with the championship, with your first 2-0 start and since 2014, does it feel like you have slid into that Paul Russo role and have become now it's Matt and Jared who's everyone's got to look out for in this league?
Oh yeah, I'd agree. I'll give credit to Matt. He'll be 1A, and then I'll be the 1B. But Matt's the vet, so he's got a couple more rings. But like I said, he always knows what he's doing. But yeah, I think I'm that top tier now. I mean,
yeah.
No disrespect to the newbies, they're rookies. I got some of them got some learning to do. It's early, but they got some learning. Kurt, like I said, he's got a good team, but I had a good start my first year and then didn't do anything. So I mean, and then some of the other vets, Pat, he's pretty good, always pretty consistent. Justin, I mean, hasn't made the playoffs in a while, so.
Justin Hillwa.
Yeah, Justin Hillwa, not the rookie Justin.
No.
Justin Hillwa, yeah, he hasn't made the playoffs in a couple years, so.
2016, 8-man days.
He's looking to get back in there, but until he gets there, I think I'm higher on the tier list. And then Fletch, Fletch is a good competitor. He's made the playoffs, but I still think I'm higher than him. And then
me.
Josh is a good competitor. And then of course I beat you in the finals last year. Hated to do it, but had to be done.
It was my first playoffs in a long time, but you were slightly mentioned him, Josh. Actually, a guy that you do not own in this league is Josh. I mean, played 6 times. You're 2-4 against him. 0-1 out of that 2-4 in the finals back in 2017. Yeah. Obviously, everyone remembers one of the most famous trades in this league's history back in 2017 with you traded him. Travis Kelce, his 1 weak spot on his team was tight end. You traded him Travis Kelce for Devontae Freeman, which you were hurting at running back that year.
Yeah, that was the year I was stacking Carolina Panther running backs. I had McCaffrey in his rookie year and freaking Jonathan Stewart. I was hurting.
Yeah, at that time you were hurting. You took Devontae Freeman for Travis Kelce. You end up meeting Josh in the finals. Josh beat you, and you've actually lost 2 straight times now, even after that, to Josh. Coming into this week 3 matchup, a 1-1 Josh team. Got to win over Andrew, just like you did in week 1. Andrew didn't play nearly as well in week 1 that he did in week 2. But Josh, week 3, still early. He's only a game back because it's so early. What is the mindset going in this week 3 game against Josh?
Win. I mean, he's got a pretty good team. I think his running backs are Najee, Miles Sanders, Mike Davis. Yuck. You couldn't pay me $100 to draft Mike Davis, although he did help me last year.
Tyreek Hill is a star.
But yeah, he's got his wide receivers. I think who's Tyreek and who else? Who's the second one?
My boy Juju.
Oh, Tyreek's tough, but Juju's hit or miss. But
he's got Tampa Bay defense. That's one of the better ones.
Yeah, they proved that last week when Matt Ryan was like, "Here, take this one." Now, who's his quarterback?
Russell Wilson.
Oh, yeah, I love Russ. He's tough. Yeah, Russ and Tyreek Hill will guarantee you like that. I think they're like that 40 package. Like they're gonna get 40 points most nights. Like between the two, obviously 20 and 20. Yeah. I think you can account for that. But Najee, I know Najee's got some upside because he's the only one touching the ball there, but he's got nobody to block for him. So, and then Miles Sanders, I don't know. I'm not super high on Miles Sanders. Maybe that's my bias as a Giants fan because I hate the Eagles, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Josh, I think he was kind of like, even though he does have that championship, he's kind of like you right now that you were, probably a few years ago, in middle pack tier team. Kind of getting slept on a little bit. You know, Obviously it's early, and especially your 2-0 start, nothing's must win. Um, but what would it mean to get a 3-0 start with another big win this week? What would that mean to you, especially in a 14-week regular season, setting the tone early?
I think it'd be good, get a little head start because now we got 6 spots for playoffs. So get a little head start on some of those 1 and 2 teams because obviously some of those guys got to be 1 and 2. Maybe even 0 and 3, some of them. But get a little head start on them. I think it'd be a good tone setter. It's still super early, so even if I go 3-0, fantasy, you could go 3-0 and then go 0 and 3 the next 3 weeks. So, it's always up and down. So I think, but it'd be nice to get a good start. So,
and you don't play Kurt till week 7, and you don't play Matt until week 10. So, and then you play Josh. I think Pat, a few newbies here before you play Kurt week 7.
We gotta get those newbies.
Yeah, so you gotta take a little bit of advantage. I think these next few weeks. I think we could see a 6-1, maybe even say it 7-0 Jaren Johnson team, even though no one's ever been 6-0 in this entire league. So that would be some feat if you could pull that off. But I don't know. I think you got a good team. I think it's definitely a playoff team. Obviously, I think with the championship last year, defending title this year. Obviously, I think your goal is to get a top 2 seed, which would be a first round bye. Obviously, I'm assuming that's your goal.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's always nice to have that bye, so I don't have to worry about 1 week.
Yep.
But yeah, if I can get to that first ever 6-0, that'd be awesome. But gotta go through the newbies. I don't know. And to be honest, I'm not saying their teams are bad, but I'm not too scared about them.
They're newbies.
They're newbies for a reason. This is a tough league. You just can't come in here and win it.
But
they're newbies.
But
you can't sleep on them.
Yes, as a former newbie like yourself, you came on the scene, came on real strong. You can't forget about Josh and Fletch when they came in the league. They came on strong. Josh won the championship. Fletch made the playoffs. So now Kurt here, 2-0. The other two,
I think
Sam and
Kurt,
Justin got to win as well.
The bigger threat. I think Kurt's the bigger threat out of the newbies. Just as a whole team wise, I think Kurt's team is probably the best out of the 3 new guys. No disrespect, because Sam got Aaron Jones, who popped off last night, 40.
Sam had a good week too.
So, but I think overall, probably Kurt's got the best newbie team.
Yep. Yeah. We'll see. Obviously, you're not in the other JERRY1 leagues. Just a little background on Kurt as a JERRY1 owner in basketball and baseball. Kurt's always been, he's been a great owner, gets to the playoffs, but he just doesn't have a playoff career win yet. He has a postseason win and a constellation tournament that we did in baseball last year, but he does not have a playoff win, which he's one of few owners that has never won a playoff game. So that's what Kurt's got going right now. He can do that in football. Who knows? But it's a long, long way to go.
Hey, it's a different animal. Football is a different animal.
Yes, it is. Yes,
it is. The top tier is JERRY1. It's the top tier.
It's not even close. Like, football is here, and whatever second is down way down here. Not even on the screen. But well, Jaren, anybody who comes on my podcast for a third time plays my new game. This game is strictly only about fantasy football for you. I made it easy on you. No fantrack.com college basketball questions, but
Jay Adams, baby.
Today's game is called JERRY1 Millionaire, and it is a condensed version of the actual Millionaire. It is only 10 questions. If you go to the end, goes by 10 points, 20 points, 30 points, all the way up to 100 points. The checkpoints, like in Millionaire, we have a 30-point mark and a 60-point mark. And there are 3 lifelines. It will be a 50-50, a hint, and then a double shot lifeline, which is 2 shots at the answer. Those are your 3 lifelines. 4 multiple choice questions, just like a Millionaire. Jaren, are you ready to play?
Let's go.
Yes. All right. Here we go. The questions go from easy to hard, just like a Millionaire. Do not overthink these first couple, because I think you can get it with ease. Here we go. For 10 points, who has Jaren beaten in a fantasy football finals? Is it A, Kurt? Is it B, Nick? Is it C, Colin Sexton? Or is it D, Pat Connaughton?
I really want to say D, but I'm going to have to go with B, Nick Felice.
Final answer?
Yeah, final answer.
Yeah, that is correct. Yes, you beat me. Your only fantasy football finals win, and that came in 2020. So how about that? You're up to 10 points. Here we go for 20-point question. Jaren has how many career wins, regular season and playoffs in fantasy football? Is it A, 50 wins? Is it B, 95 wins? Is it C, 2 wins? Is it D, 158 wins?
I'll go with what was 50 wins? A?
A, yep.
I'll go with A.
Final answer.
Final answer.
This is Millionaire. Final answer. And that is correct. Yes, it is 50 career wins, 47 regular season, 3 playoffs, 50 career wins. You join the original 6 owners, the only people that have 50 career wins. So you got a little, even though you got as many championships as Jeremy, you got a little bit of a slight edge ahead of Jeremy since you both came in the league together. But
oh yeah, I forgot Jeremy. No disrespect to Jeremy, he's got a good team this year too. I forgot about Jeremy.
Sleeping on Jeremy.
and Andrew.
Yeah. Okay. You must have forgot about that 2019 finals then. Okay. For the 30-point check mark question, you need to get this one right. So have all your lifelines. How many career playoff appearances does Jaren have in football? Is it A, 1, B, 2, C, 5, D, 0? 1, 2, 5, or 0. How many playoff appearances you have?
Let's go with 5. Final answer.
Yes, that is correct. It is 5 from 2014 to 2017 and 2020. How about that 4-year stretch? You made the playoffs 4 consecutive years back when less than half the teams made the playoffs. So that's pretty well for 1 year.
Should have been 6 if it wasn't for technicality.
Yes, I remember that. Oh, you're at 30 points. I forgot to mention the high score is 60 points. Everyone else is tied with 30. So let's see if you can try to get to that 60-point mark. But the game has begun. Do not forget about your 3 lifelines, 50-50, hint, and double shots. Here we go. 40-point question. What is your highest scoring regular season game in fantasy football? Is it A, 142 points, B, 138 points, C, 166 points, or D, 120 points?
I think it's 142. Final answer.
Final answer. 142.
Yeah, I think so.
I am so sorry, Jared. That is incorrect. It is not 142.
Damn.
Jared, you have all these lifelines. It is actually C, 166. You did that twice. Do you have any idea when that was?
Oh, yeah, that was last year.
Last year,
it was
2 weeks in a row.
Matt and Andrew.
And me.
Oh.
Week 3, you did 166 against Matt. And then week 4, you did 166 against me.
That's what it was.
Yeah, 166. You did it twice. As disappointing as this game comes to an end, every guest that comes on this game, that plays this game, you do get a shot at the 100-point question just to see what it was. It is very challenging. Would you like to see it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, 100-point question. What is your career 8-man league record, regular season and playoffs? That is 2014 to 2016. Is it A, 20-15, B, 21-16, C, 22-17, or D, 23-18? I'll say this again. 20-15, 21-16, 22-17, 23-18. 8-man record. Any idea?
I'm going to guess and go B. Final answer.
All right. And that is incorrect again. I'm so sorry. It is so close. It is actually C, 22-17. Damn. You were 22-14 in the regular season, 0-3 in the playoffs. 22-17. This game does not end good for you, but thanks for playing. You do finish tied for second with the highest score of 30 points. It is late on this Tuesday night. I'll give you a break. You're not thinking well,
Long day of work. Long day of work.
But Jaren, before I get you out of here, Josh, so like I said before, 3-0 on the line this week. The best you've ever done is 4-0 in 2014. Those are the only 2 years you ever been 2-0. I said no one's been 6-0. I said, what would it mean to get to 3-0? But I want to know, how many are we winning to start this season off? Let me look up your schedule here. I talked about it a little bit. So you got Josh this week, Sam, Pat, Justin Kiefer, Kurt, Justin Hilwa, Fletch, and then Matt in week 10. How many are we winning here? How many are we winning to start the season?
Oh, I honestly think, obviously, in a cocky answer would be to say I'm going to win them all because, I feel like you should have that mentality. Mm-hmm. But seriously, thinking about it, so I got Josh this week, you said?
So I said no one's been 6-0 ever in this league. To do that, you'd have to be Josh, Sam, Pat, and Justin Kiefer. Do you think you can do that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so. If my team plays like they're supposed to play, then I think so. Because I think I have better teams than all four of those guys. No offense. But I do think I have better teams than them. So I think that's pretty attainable. If they perform. I don't need any stinkers. So
I think your team's gonna be sticking around, and I think I'll get you on the podcast maybe before you make the playoffs or something here this year. That's I would. You gotta make a run for the playoffs, but I'll just ask you right now in case I don't get you on. What would it mean to win back-to-back championships?
Bragging rights. It'd be awesome. Joe Buck yourself team would just love to have that. I don't know how many people have done back-to-back.
In all of JERRY1, football and sports, it's only happened once, all 2014 and 2015. It's the only time. Actually, there was one time in hockey. There was a cut short. Okay, there's my friend Nate who did in hockey. He just did in hockey. But in football, it's just Paul 14 to 15.
Then yeah, that'd be awesome. Be one or two people for football. I personally, I don't count hockey because not many people play it or know what's going on.
Hey, we're expanding this year. We are expanding this year.
But yeah, you said that, but yeah, I think it would be cool. Be me and Paul, the ghost of the JERRY1 Football League.
I think if you win, we could talk, how great Matt's been. I think you would jump Matt if you win the championship this year.
How many total does Matt have?
2.
Oh, 2? Oh, yeah.
And keep in mind, if you win it this year, you'd have the only lone 12-man league title.
Yeah, that'd be a conversation for sure then. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, I think that's better than Paul's back-to-back. What was it, 8-man back-to-back?
8-man, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think that's... Yeah,
his other one was a 6-man. And his other one was a 6-man.
We'll call Paul Michael Jordan right now, but I'll be his LeBron. I'll be the LeBron and soon pass him.
Yeah. Unrelated note: Michigan football. How they doing? How they looking this year? I see Michigan. What's that blanket?
Yeah. They're doing. They're looking good so far. Being a real Michigan fan, I know there's some JERRY1 guys in here that like Michigan and Michigan State. I don't know how that happens. You are. But yeah, the boys look good. I'm happy. Actually kind of surprised. I thought they'd be okay, but they're looking like world beaters running the ball. They haven't thrown the ball yet, but running the ball. I love the running back. They got Blake Corum. He's a beast, but I'm kind of nervous with the quarterback once it gets to time to throw in. I don't know if you'll be able to make the throws. I wish they'd put in the 5-star freshman because I just think he's got a little more juice, but hey, until they lose, then we'll have that conversation.
It's a tough Big Ten, too. I just wanted to throw that in there. See your thoughts on Michigan. But
I think it's a lot more open this year, though. Ohio State's not as good as they usually are.
They're going to beat them this year. But
you can hope.
Jaren, I appreciate you coming on, saying a few words about your fantasy football team, and I wish you the best luck against Josh in week 3 and the rest of the season. Jaren, enjoy your defending championship season. someday I will get to experience that. But Jaren, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, man. Number one. Hopefully we'll get 2 in a row. We'll see what happens.
I want to thank Jaren for coming on. It was great to talk to him. Great to get his thoughts on his team. And I wish the best of luck for him. I don't wish him the best of luck in week 13, but I wish him the best of luck this season. He's a good owner, and he's one of the best in the league. But let's talk about fantasy baseball. The finals, third place game is still going. It is, as we're recording this, it is day 9 of the fantasy baseball finals, the 4th annual finals of JERRY1 Fantasy Baseball. Last year was only a 1-week finals because of the shortened season. So we're back to that 2-week finals, which we all enjoy, I think. But it's interesting. I always think of, when I think of this finals, I think of my semifinals matchup against Larry. And if I didn't pick up that stupid fuck from the Pirates, Bryson Wilson, I probably would have beat Larry in most dramatic style, because Francisco Lindor at like 21 points on that last Sunday Night Baseball. I would have won by a 3-homer game by Lindor. And it sucks thinking about it, because I overmanaged and Larry beat me because of that. So, but Larry played well all week. I'm not just going to say it was that one move that, that gave him the win. I mean, he played well all week long. He's played well enough to beat Fletcher by 1 point before Jack crashed in week 1. And he falls behind by 19 points going to this Tuesday. I like to think he's going to hang around, because there's been no signs that Larry's going to fade. Absolutely no signs that he's going to fade. Obviously, you got to like Fletch, because he's just been there all season long. It's been me and Fletch all season long. Larry, he got the best of me. And now he's got a shot at championship, and he'd be an unbelievable run. He'd beat last year's champion, Johnny, in the first round, and he beat 2019 champion and myself in the semis, and he beat probably the best owner in 2021 in Fletch here in the finals. It'd be an unbelievable run for Larry if he could pull it off. It's we got a few more days, less than a week now, to see if he can. Fletch is trying to pull it off. Fletch just come out with the team name, guaranteed money. Nothing's guaranteed in JERRY1, but see how he does. I'm looking forward to how this one plays out. Me and Matt, on the other hand, third place game, I'm gonna kick his ass. I'm getting that $30, and I'm gonna win this third place game. Back-to-back third place champs, by the way. If I did pull it off, it'd be cool to get that as well. Just another win in my career. As people, if you've seen, I am on 199 career wins in my JERRY1 career. Baseball would end before football this week. So if I'm able to be Matt in the third place game, that would be my 200th career win in my JERRY1 fantasy sports career. It would be awesome. It'd be pretty awesome. It would be, and to do it against Matt in a postseason game would be even cooler. It would have been sweeter if it was the finals, but you can't ask for everything. It's going to be a good finals this weekend. Last weekend of the fantasy baseball season. I think it's been a good baseball season. We've had some good teams. We've had some teams rise, like Larry and Fletch this year. We've had some teams, take a step back, like Paul. Other one is Sam. Sam took a step back this year. So we'll see what they do in 2022. Year 5 would be next year. But this year is just getting started, I would say, because this finals is getting good. Just keep an eye out for that if you're part of this league. And, stay tuned, see who wins. Larry versus Fletch. They will be the 12th different owner to win a championship in JERRY1 Fantasy Sports, whoever wins this. And there's only 20 active owners. It'll be 12 of 20. So that's big news. So we'll see what happens. I picked Larry last week. I'm going to stick with it. I think Larry's going to figure it out. Tough Monday. It's only Monday. It's only Tuesday. So I think Larry's going to pull this one out. I still do. I think it's going to be an unbelievable magical run. And I think he's going to pull this one out. And that's my prediction still. And that's it for fantasy baseball. That's it for the podcast. This has been a good one. Episode 34 is in the books. No birthday shout-outs this week. I want to wish Larry, Fletch, Matt the best of luck in the final week of the baseball season. I want to wish everyone the best of luck in week 3 of the Fantasy Football League. And I want to obviously thank Jaren for coming on. It was great to talk to him, great to catch up with him. And he's a threat. he's always going to be a threat on the fantasy football side of things. Thank you, Jaren, for coming on. Pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for being a part of episode 34 of the podcast. But I've been Nick Felice. Set your lineup, and we'll see you on the next JERRY1 Fantasy Sports Podcast. It's going to be a better one. It always is.